You want to dance? Huh? Do you want to dance?
Yeah. You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now.
That was from National Lampoon's college comedy Animal House. Hard to believe, 45 years since the release in the summer of 1978. Despite a meager budget of $3 million, the film took over American pop culture, pulling in nearly $142 million at the box office. Until recently, I saw it as just a chaotic comedy of my teenage years. That is, until this week, when I read Ty Burr's opinion piece in the Washington Post entitled, "I was on campus when Animal House debuted. It changed everything." He argues that the movie was much more than a celebration of fraternity debauchery, and he makes the case that it was a political and cultural milestone. Ty Burr is the author of the movie recommendation newsletter, Ty Burr's Watch List. In July of 1978, he attended a preview screening of the film as a student at Dartmouth, where he says he saw his classmates inspired by new principles: the right to say what you wanted, offend whomever you wanted, and grab the rewards you felt were yours. Ty, thank you so much for being here and writing this piece. So you attended that screening for the movie just off campus at Dartmouth in Hanover at a small theater. What happened that night?
What happened that night was that the place went wild because, you know, it is a hilarious movie, and I want to stress that you can enjoy this movie absolutely as a movie. But I have to point out that one of the screenwriters was in attendance. That was Chris Miller, and he was a Dartmouth alumni who had gone to one of the more notorious fraternities on campus, the one that actually isn't even recognized anymore because they were branding the flesh of new members. Nevertheless, the audience went wild. I literally remember him being carried on the shoulders of cheering fraternity guys down frat row at Dartmouth. It was as though all the debauchery and fun of college life had given the okay, had been the cultural okay. There'd never been a college comedy that had said, yeah, we're identifying with, you know, the quote unquote losers. We love these guys. We love the fun they have. We love their outlook on life. And that definitely connected. I saw it with my own eyes.
Listen, I'm one of those, for better or worse, who can quote, 7 years of college down the drain. Did it matter when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? We could go on and on. I know all the lines.
My man.
I've never put it in a political context the way that you did. I'm going to put something on the screen and read it aloud. You wrote, by 1978, the progressive liberalism that had sustained the counterculture from before the civil rights era to the fall of Richard M. Nixon had started to feel like oppressive doctrine. Still, if you were young and in college, you had to subscribe to it, didn't you? Animal House said, no, man, you didn't. You didn't have to mean it at all. The movie fed into an articulated, growing frustration with an overbearing political correctness, the fear that you couldn't say what you wanted to without stepping on someone's toes. So you're here to argue that this was the beginning of what kind of an era?
I would say, to me, this, and you can put too much weight on it, but the piece is to play around with the idea, is the transition between the 60s and the 80s. And in the piece, I say the 70s should be understood as a period of double knit and disco and just be put aside. But that it went from when even the frat culture sort of had to pay lip service in public to, we believe in these things, these progressive ideas, to the movie allowed them to say, no, I don't need to mean that. I can just have fun. I can be into whatever I want to be. And I will say that, and this is ironic, it resonated with the more conservative forces on the campus at that time. And you may remember that the Dartmouth Review was one of the first conservative college newspapers, started up 2 years later, and the students who started it were in that audience and have written about being really affected by that movie and wanting to be Pluto.
And Ty,
you would think,
can I make this point? Can I also make this point? That those of us who wore togas are now older parents or grandparents. And as you point out, 45 years later, the wheel has turned once more. The students who embrace the film's shredding of taboos are now aging parents and grandparents, castigated by their progeny for making sexist jokes or using the wrong pronouns. Is there another political lesson in the 2024 cycle that springs from Animal House?
I don't know if I'd go that far yet, but I will say that the wheel turns and that you're having younger voters coming into this election, and they are possibly going to look at this movie and other movies of their ilk, those 80s comedies, with a slightly more jaundiced, jaded, unaccepting eye. They'll still be funny, they'll still find their audience, but the wheel always turns, and it will always turn back.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you, Ty. Appreciate your being here. Checking in on social media reaction now. What do we have? Smerconish, Animal House was okay, not great. Calm down. Oh, okay. Is my exuberance showing? Hey, you want to hear one more funny thing about Animal House? I pulled the original Washington Post review to the movie, Gary Arnold, August 11, 1978. Animal House emerges as an enjoyable sophomoric farce, too episodic and shallowly derisive to inspire lasting esteem? I think not. Up ahead.